All right, so you guys have all seen the side dump. So yeah, you guys have all seen the side dump. So here we are. I'm gonna familiarize myself with the truck again before I get somebody else in here. It's been a while. It's been about 7 months since I drove this thing. So we'll, I'm gonna get it fired up and I'm gonna drive it over to the other part of the yard so that we're away from the guys when the rest of the guys start rolling back in. Guys, so for those of you who don't know me, I've been driving dump trucks since I was 22 years old, and I've worked in the construction industry since I was about 21, I would say. I started off driving a hydro seeder, and that opened doors for me to start meeting people in construction that I didn't know before, and people started giving me more opportunities because especially in 2007, 2008, when the economy was collapsing, it was really hard to get into construction if you'd never been around construction before, and that was my case. No, I didn't know anyone in my family, anyone who even remotely worked in construction at all. Like no flaggers, no operators, nobody. And I had always wanted to be a dump truck driver. So getting out into the world and meeting people in the industry is how I was able to get my foot in the door. Showing that I was willing to do the work to learn is what gave me all those opportunities. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is what I'm looking for in a dump truck driver. I'm looking for somebody who's willing to put in the work. Somebody who understands that people make mistakes, but they do their best not to make major mistakes, and they hold themselves accountable. I would say that the main thing is accountability. I think that's true for any job, but you all have that one guy you worked with that nothing was ever their fault. Didn't matter what happened, they had some kind of excuse why it wasn't their fault. And we all hate working with that person. If you've been around the channel for a while, you guys remember back in January when I first started driving the Super Solo. The first day I drove it, I smashed my tarp bar. And as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my God, I was so mad at myself. But after we got everything worked out on the job and I wasn't holding anybody up anymore, I called first my boss and I told him what I did. And I said, hey, I effed up and I'm sorry. And he's like, well, you'll probably never do it again, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, we'll get it fixed. But the thing is that I could have called him and made excuses and started explaining to him why it wasn't my fault that I smashed my tarp bar. I could have been like, well, I was never fully trained on this piece of equipment, which I wasn't, or I was distracted by things happening on the ground at the job site, which kind of is what happened. But when it comes down to it, I'm the one who made the mistake. And so I need to be held accountable, which is exactly what we expect in construction, and exactly what I expect of myself is to hold myself accountable. So if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that about 8 months ago, our company traded in a bunch of our trucks, and all the trucks that came were all automatics. And part of the reason why I'm out here sitting in the side dump is because this is our last truck that is an 18 speed. And I'm not saying that if you have an automatic restriction or anything like that, it makes you a bad truck driver. But I want to know that somebody that we work with can get in any piece of equipment and drive it. So the other piece of equipment that we have that is also an 18 speed is our water truck, which the only time we really drive it on the road is when we drive it from job to job, which it usually stays on a job for 6 months to a year, so luckily it doesn't get driven that much. But we need people that can drive everything. We need people that can be team players and reliable. So that's another thing that I want to make sure that this driver can drive an 18 speed. So that's why I'm in the side dump. So when he gets here, we're going to go on a test drive, and I'm going to make sure that he can shift. The next thing I'm looking for is dedication to the job. How bad do you want it? Do you want it the way that I wanted it when I first started driving, like kind of obsessively, where I would do anything to get in a dump truck, and then later on in my career I would do anything to get on with this company? I coveted Pelco. So I worked at another construction company. They have yellow trucks. If you're from this area, you know which company I'm talking about. And I was obsessed with getting on at Pelco. And I coveted this job, and when I finally had the opportunity, I was dedicated. And this company has done so much for my career and so much for me that I can't even express how incredibly grateful and how incredibly lucky I am to be where I'm at. This is by far the best job I've ever had. By far, like ridiculously by far. So I'm looking for somebody that sees this job as an opportunity to do better for themselves, because that's exactly what this is. This company is all about who you are as an individual, and the company will do as much for you as you do for it. And I'm so incredibly grateful to be here. And I want to see people be successful. And part of the thing that makes you successful in this industry is dedication. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out on your own if you want to, like you definitely should, and I've considered it over the years, but I think I've made the right decision staying working for this company. I'm also looking for somebody that knows how to inspect the truck. I'm going to follow him around the vehicle, and we're going to talk about everything. And I do understand he's not familiar with this truck, so I'm not going to hold that against him, but I do want somebody that is going to fully inspect a vehicle and make sure that our mechanics have the support that they need to make sure that these trucks are on the road safely and they're reliable. I'm also looking for somebody that knows what it is to be a team player. And we all have worked with that guy, as if you're a dump truck driver, and I'm sure this happens in other industries, that doesn't want to take that last load at the end of the day. He just wants to get his loads done, get his 7 hours in, and make it back to the yard by about 8 hours and just leave. And depending on where you live in the country, and here it is affected by this, but in the summertime we're really busy because we get most of our work done in the summer. We do work all winter, except for if it's snowing. We don't, but it doesn't snow over here very much. But I want to work with people that are willing to put in the hours that it takes to get the job done. The thing about being a dump truck driver, or any kind of truck driver, is that we are the support system. We make it possible for the guys at the job site to get their work done. If you think about it, they can't do anything until we bring in the first piece of equipment. They can't do anything unless we take the dirt out. They can't do anything unless they either have pipe, structures, or rock to put stuff in the ground. So, they can't put a sewer system in without us. And we wouldn't have a job without them, so we need to come in early and we need to stay late to make sure that they have everything that they need to do their job. Okay guys, I'm gonna give you one quick walk around the truck, and I've already gone over the controls with myself. Maybe I should do that right now and go over them with you. That way you guys have an idea of what I'm looking at, what I was just doing when I was checking the truck out to make sure that I remember how to run it, because sometimes when you haven't been in a truck in a while, you have to do a refresher course to remember where the PTO is, or on this one there's the PTO switch, plus they have a control switch you got to turn on, so stuff like that. I'm gonna show you guys that real quick, and we'll go over it. Okay guys, here we are in the side dump. So if you want to control this truck and get it to dump, you have to do multiple things. So the first thing you have to do is you have to push the clutch in. You always push the clutch in, but the truck's not running, so it doesn't matter. And then you flip this switch up to turn the PTO on. And on this truck specifically, you turn this switch to on, or nothing on here will work. And so this switch here lifts the box up, and you hold this and you can rev it up a little to make it go faster, and then the same thing to bring it down. This is the drop axle on the trailer. This is suspension up or down. We are careful about the suspension because when you drop it down, if you drop it down and then back up, it rips off both the mud flaps on the back, which you don't want, of course. But it's better to dump with it down. So I'm definitely going to show our new recruit all about that when he gets over here. And then this is the tarp open and tarp closed. We're not going to worry about the tarp right now, not in the yard and without a load, but I'll definitely talk to him about it. But now that I've done a refresher course on the controls for myself, I think I'm ready to head back in the office and wait for him to show up. Okay guys, so the test drive went really well, and it looks like we're gonna have a new truck driver here starting in a few weeks if the drug test goes as it should. But thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys next time.